Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. This is Gary Wilson, your host. I'm glad to have you back on board again. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, if you could go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, any one of your favorite channels, there's 30 of them that we're on. Stitcher, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's out there. And while you're out there, go visit globalinvestoragent.com website. Remember, guys, these are the agents that have been trained to work with you and I, the investors. These are not traditional agents at all, right? They have access to tools and strategies and most of all data that most folks don't have, including other agents, right? And they know how to identify, analyze, and negotiate on and off market deals all over the country, and they have access to every owner of every property, residential and commercial, bar none. So these guys you want to connect with, and if you're an agent, well, you really should be paying attention to this now because the market is starting to shift. All right, and in the last recession, you saw what happened. It was the investors that kept the business going. It was all investor transactions. So this is not the time to be fearful. It's a time to prepare. Right, so go ahead and if you're an agent, click on the button on there and get a conversation going. See what it's all about. So in any case, great guest today, Cameron Danalis from Massachusetts, just starting off investing, and has also already written his first book. So Cameron, first off, I just want to say thank you for being on board. I appreciate you taking your time to do this.
Of course, thank you for having me.
I'm glad to do it. So I haven't been up there for a year. Last time I was up there was last August. But I'll be up there again in July. And what's interesting is if you're not from New England, people inevitably pronounce lobster or not lobster, which is what it's supposed to be, right? And like you and I were talking about Worcester. People look at the sign and it looks like it says Worcester, but it's actually pronounced Worcester. Leominster, not Leominster. So in any case, are you born and raised there, Massachusetts?
Yeah, I don't have the accent for whatever reason, but yeah, it seems that we don't know how to pronounce ours very well.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, we'll catch us up then. So you're how far along, or let's just start at the beginning. What was your first transaction, and what was that like? Like, what's the technique you use, the methodology? Kind of break it down for us, because chances are some golden. Usually, the first one is where you learn a lot.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to say it was very amateur. It happened, but it didn't happen super well. So, yeah, what happened is I was getting 19, 20 years old, and I was looking to get out of home, but I had no interest in paying rent of any kind. So I looked into mortgages and owning a house, and I was looking at the rates, and things were so expensive and it was crazy. And I was like, what's the most intelligent way to get out of home and maybe build some wealth and not get ruined in the wallet. And so I found two-family homes and then read about them and learned and realized that you can live in one house and rent out the other. They call it house hacking these days.
Yeah.
But, to make a long story short, yeah, I basically pulled a random mortgage company, a random agent. And the process was long. It was inefficient. I paid more than I needed to. It took longer than it needed to. Made a million mistakes. But obviously you learn from that. And when I went around the next time, I didn't make those mistakes again.
Yeah. Well, real estate, thankfully, is a very forgiving commodity to invest in. In other words, in a stock market, I'm not opposed to it. I'm in the stock market too, but you only have so many moves you can make. And then when you make a mistake, it's very painful. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes in real estate. We certainly do. It's just you can make a mistake in real estate and still make money. You still got the asset.
Exactly.
It never goes to zero. So how did you locate that first property? Did the agent just do all the work for you, or kind of fill us in there a little bit,
So funny story, actually. I did it a very, very unorthodox way. So I had just gotten back from my military training, and then I started working at a corporate bank. And we were looking, and I was using those, that income from both the military and the bank to, get a house. Mm-hmm. The problem was it was 2019, and that is when the market was on absolute fire. So every time we found one we liked, it was gone before I could get out of work. It was got like flash sales, like oh, I text the agent, oh, let's check out this one. She goes, okay, cool, let's go at 6, and she goes, it's sold.
Yep.
And after about 5 or 6 of those, I was like, this is complete bull crap. And what I ended up doing was sending my girlfriend, because she wasn't working at the time, to go with the realtor. And lo and behold, I never saw the first house I put an offer in for. I had to take my agent and my girlfriend and her mother's word for it. And I got out of work, went there. I was like, okay, cool. It looks good enough. And then luckily we were able to buy it. But I'm one of the few people who never saw his first home before he purchased it.
Wow. Yep. Well, believe it or not, that actually happens a lot.
Does it?
These days, and actually even in the past, in the last recession and the years leading up to it, I knew a lot of investors. We just got in the habit of, as soon as we saw something, if we'd do desktop analysis, if it passed desktop analysis before we even look at it, we'd get the offer in right away based on what we did know. And then we go to visit the property, we'd have to make adjustments for the deferred maintenance and repairs and capital expenditures and things like that. But it worked, So, but if you're brand new and doing it, that could probably be a little bit unsettling, I'm sure, say the least,
Yeah. I didn't know any better at the time, so I thought it was crazy. You're telling me it's normal. I believe it. Especially now in this world, I don't think it'll ever go back to not being like that, truthfully. So that might be the new norm, quite frankly.
Yep. So now do you still have that property?
Correct. I'm renting it out.
Awesome. And you mentioned house hacking. I know for me, that's how my college roommate and I bought a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And we each got our own room. And then the other 2 rooms we rented out to 2 other guys. And their incoming rent pretty much paid our bills. I mean, at least the mortgage, principal and interest. So is that kind of what you did too? You said you house hacked it?
Yeah, I wasn't doing individual rooms, but I did do the other half, and it paid for over 90%.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then working a regular job, it was pretty comfortable, even though I wasn't making a killing at work.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the good news is half your duplex paid for the whole thing, or 90% almost. That's actually really good, especially in Massachusetts. So people don't realize. I know it's not like New York City or Santa Barbara, California, or San Francisco, but it just goes to show you how much values have increased over the last just small handful of years. It's just been amazing, the run up. So we're feels like we're at or near the top of this market. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball, of course, but the folks that have been around for a while was thinking, okay, this looks like it's ready to pop. Anytime. All we need is some bad news, and we sure got it with inflation, rising interest rates, and the stock market going down. So it looks like the writing's on the wall. I mean, it's, again, nobody has a crystal ball, but my philosophy is when you see the fundamentals like that, it's instead of being fearful, be prepared. Just prepare. So let's talk about in your area, are you pretty much investing in the Massachusetts area? Do you ever go across to, you go up in New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, New York, Rhode Island, any other states like that, or you just try to keep it close to home? What's your philosophy there, or your strategy,
So I'm a pretty hands-on type, again, and I don't have super deep pockets as of yet, but everything I'm doing is local, but I have absolutely no aversion to, expanding. I know some guys in a real estate group I'm in who have stuff in Texas and all over the country. I have no personal aversion. I'm currently doing all the landlording and maintenance and contracts, and I do all that stuff. So I like to be within a reasonable driving distance. But once I, scale further, if you can get a company to take care of some of the everyday stuff, or a guy or a good individual, you could definitely expand, and I could have stuff dotted around all over. As long as you have a good network is really the only holdup.
Yep. Now as far as the sectors you're serving, the consumer sectors, are you keeping it more traditional, like rentals, or you're flipping also, or you do anything like Airbnb? Like what are you doing now as far as the market you're serving, and what do you look at doing down the road?
Yeah. So great question. So I am a huge proponent of buy and hold. So as of recent, so I have two families now, and I just got a third one in April. However, the way things have unfolded, it was going to be a hold, but it has since turned into a flip. So we're doing our first flip, which is nice. The experience is great. It's nothing too crazy, but it's helping me learn that process. I'm not making too many mistakes. I'm learning things. I'm going slow, but I'm also going to make, assuming everything doesn't collapse in the next couple months, I'll be making a nice, pretty penny for myself.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use that flip money to invest into more potential buy and holds.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, but between flipping and buying and holding, flipping is probably more fun because it's just, you just take this house that needs a lot of work. Yeah. And you fix it up, make it the nicest house in the neighborhood. And it feels good when you do that. It's fun, and of course you can make the big bucks. The challenge is you get paid once without a strategy. With that, you get paid one time for property. With the rentals, yes, we make a smaller, tiny portion, but we make it every single month.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you, nothing feels better than having everything paid off. That's a good feeling. And you got all that cash flow coming in, and the time's going to go fast. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm, in my 50s now, and it's like, seems like it was just yesterday when I was getting started, but it just goes to show you, it doesn't really matter. You can't undo the past. So when you get the gumption to do it, start that day. There are some people saying in today's economy, they're going to wait and buy. I'm like, no, don't wait and buy and wait,
Yeah.
So, but now do you have, so are you still working with the agents up there? Do you have any other strategies you use, online tools for research, things like that, or getting access to property data, anything like that you're using that you don't mind sharing? Of course, it'll be different in every area. Obviously, we're just sharing the concept,
Of course. So I don't have any secret formula. I don't have any special websites or brokers or anything like that. My biggest key to success, and I can honestly say that without this key, I would be nowhere, is I simply joined a local real estate group. And there I met all sorts of real estate agents, wholesalers, retailers, off-market people, on-market people, just a whole flurry of good carpenters. And when I met those people and I needed something, at a minimum, those people knew somebody who could fill the role I needed. So anytime I needed work done, say gutters or repointing a basement or whatever, or even finding tenants, I've had good, reasonably priced people to help me get what I needed done. And again, everyone talks in this industry. It's not one where you're really competing too much with each other. You're all really working together in a way.
Right.
So being able to benefit off of networking is really, I'd say, my biggest key to success. I haven't done anything that special. It's just who you know matters more than what you know.
Yeah. There's a famous quote from Dan Sullivan. It's the who, not the how. A lot of people looking to grow a business. Yeah, they're thinking, well, I need to learn how to do this better. And the reality is no, you actually need to find the person who already knows how to do it better, So.
And the best version of that too is even at this flip, I've got plumbers, electricians, carpenters. I'm following them around, working with them and learning so much. Again, people don't teach you this stuff in school anymore. And I'm taking all this knowledge and now I'll be able to more accurately assess what's needed in the future, how much it's going to cost, what I'm going to need, and all that stuff. And even some small stuff I can do on my own now, I feel like.
Yeah.
So the who turns into the how pretty quickly if you're willing and able.
That's right. Yeah. Well, eventually you'll learn, you're doing the same thing I did. What'll happen is you get to the point you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to farm out and delegate more roles. You got all the maintenance and repair stuff covered. If usually the first thing you have covered is the maintenance and repairs, having other people do that. In the beginning, I did that all myself too. And then the next thing was, once that was under control and I was adding more units, is start to delegate the showing of the vacancies and doing the scheduling, the cleanouts when people move. And so I was having the beginnings of a management team. And I would definitely recommend that. I would definitely encourage you to do that too, because the best use of your time is to do the investing, not the maintaining.
That's a great point.
Yeah, but in the beginning, obviously everybody we have to play offense and defense. We're playing both sides of the ball until we can move up into the larger.
I've got a great personal story to that. So the first, again, I was young, but we moved into the house. We got the other side all set up, all nice and ready. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to find a tenant. And I was going through hundreds of applications. I didn't really know what I was looking for. I Googled, but nothing beats experience. And I wasted 3 or 4 months of no tenant. Mm-hmm. And if you do the math, let's say that if the rent is $1,200 or $1,300 times 4, I wasted over $5,000 just by trying to do it myself.
Right.
So I reached out to my network and, hey, can someone help me get a tenant? They did it for 1 month's rent. So for the price of $1,300, I could have had a tenant, but instead I wasted over $5,000 in potential income. And I'll never make that mistake again. It's a no-brainer. Get someone else to do it.
Just a quick announcement. We'll go back to the podcast. If you're curious and been wanting to learn more about the Global Investor Agent Team that we mentioned sometimes on the podcast, well, you can. On Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm putting on a special broadcast on Zoom where we call it a GIA launch, GIA meaning Global Investor Agent, okay? So this is for you if you are already an agent or you're thinking of becoming an agent. You definitely want to be on this, okay? The fact is right now the market is changing. It's not time to panic. It's time to prepare. And this is going to show you how. The members of the team make an average of 4 transactions, 4 commissions for every client versus only 1 for traditional clients. You also get to work on transactions with investors from around the country, even the world. It completely transforms and expands your business from a local business to a much broader scale. This is real and it's happening right now. And this is the answer to what's happening in today's economy. I'll see you on the 19th. Look for the link below, click on it and join us. I'll see you there. It's back to the show.
Well, let's talk about so you got some experience under your belt and understand you just wrote a book. Now, does the book include some of the lessons you learned? Tell us about the book a little bit,
Of course. So the book is called Everyone's an Idiot, and it is available on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And it does involve real estate because the book is about my life. And my life has been heavily, heavily influenced by real estate. So I have chapters that talk about mindset. I have chapters that talk about like your physical body. The chapters are mind, body, spirit, heart, wallet, in the end. But in the wallet, I talk about, real estate and how, and spending habits primarily, but people with poor spending habits rarely get houses.
Yeah.
So, for example, how I got the money for a down payment at a young age was I did join the Air National Guard, and I went away for training for 6 months, and then I had 3 months of on the job training. So I had like 9 months of no money going out and a lot of money going in. So I left there with like $30,000. Now, all my peers, they went and bought Camaros and Jeeps and sports cars and went at all this crazy stuff, and it was awesome for them. Well, I bought a $7,000 Toyota Camry and a down payment for the 2-family.
Yeah.
And that's how I got started. So sure, yeah, I wanted the jet skis and the Jeeps and the vacations and stuff, but which is a little bit of discipline and a little bit of thinking. I started the real estate snowball, and now I'm on number 3 at 25 years old.
Yeah. I know when my kids were growing up, I had them. They had to earn a little bit of an allowance, but my son was 13. I had him work for me on all the apartments and the rentals. And then when he was 16, I gave him my truck to use. And then by the time it was 18, he was actually kind of managing some of the projects. And, one of the lessons that I instilled in them was whenever you want to buy a toy, like he just wanted to get this, he had a inherited a Camaro Z28. He wanted to get refurbished. It was about $12,000 job. I said, I'll tell you that we thought it'd be more like 4,000 to 8,000. We had no idea it was going to be that much. So I said, look, Andrew, you're 13. You got this Camaro. You can't even drive yet. Save your money between now and you're 16. And whatever you save, I'll match you dollar for dollar to do the media blast and the painting. Man, he darned if he didn't save up several $1,000s. He was motivated, So the key is
a really clever incentive.
Yep. And then so what the lesson came from, for me, the kids always heard me say when my wife would say, hey, I really want to go to a vacation in Mexico this year. And I would say, okay, great. That means we're going to buy a house. And my kids would just hear this stuff all the time. And finally, they said, well, what do you mean by you got to buy a house to go on vacation? So because I buy the house, right? And the house, the income from the house would pay for the vacation. When the vacation's over, we have the memories, but we still have the house still generating income, Yeah, that's how we did it. So if what you just described there, most people don't have that. I mean, I bought my first house and I just turned 23, less than a month out of college. And it was because of that, I just had that drive. I wanted the toys and the cars and the boats too. And, one of my roommates was buying the boats and everything, but I was buying that property, man. And we didn't call it house hacking, but the two other guys rent. We had 4 bedrooms. The 2 other roommates rent pretty much paid our mortgage payment. And, I made almost tripled my money on that house in the few short years I owned it. So let's get back to you going forward here. Now, do you branch out and invest? Also, I know you're not too far from New Hampshire, but you just stick in masses, or you look in what's the market like up there? I'm trying to think of some of the areas that I taught in up in New Hampshire. They were sort of close to Massachusetts, and there was a lot of people that commuted back and forth, But how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So everyone in the know has been saying this for years now, and that's especially in Corona exacerbated this greatly. It's the people in the cities, the Bostons, the New York cities, the Buffaloes. Especially when COVID hit, people were flocking to the less city, more suburb type, and the Western mass market has been an absolute fire. Like I said, for at least since 2018-19, where houses are going faster than sandwiches. And they're getting offers that are 20, 30, 40, 50,000 over asking, simply because all these big wig city types are coming in with big pockets and they don't care, and they just want the house, they want the space, they want the lawn, they want So for this entire time, the market's been on fire, and we'll have to see how it adjusts with the interest rates doubling in 18 months.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yep. Well, you got the right idea. So now, as far as timing goes, we're seems like we're kind of got past the coronavirus. I know it's still out there, but for the most part, most places are back to normal. Except for maybe like Oregon and California, but most places are back to normal. But as far as timing goes and looking at the market and the economy, do you see your strategy changing at all, or what are you thinking of if you look ahead with the market turns? What would you like to see for yourself, for your own investing relative to a changing economy?
Yeah, so that is a tough question, because like I said, I wanted to hold this third house, but because of the shift, I am going to be flipping, and then I'm going to be doing some things in my personal life for the rest of this year. But probably next year, I'm going to start looking to get back into the real estate market, and I don't exactly have a plan yet. Like I said, I have a good network, and I'm going to have people that I'm going to confer with and, try to figure out what the situation is then. But they said even during the 2008 recession, it wasn't too bad here. So unless something really dramatic happens, I think I'm just going to stay the course and keep trying to get residential multifamilies and hold them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So now back to the book. Any lessons in the book you'd like to point out? Like, what's the a key lesson, or maybe there's a 3-part, 3-step thing you want people to realize when it comes to your mindset, your state of mind. what really matters most. I mean, it's, we can teach people the academics of investing, but having the right frame of mind is probably the most important thing,
Yeah, mindset over money for sure, but mindset usually leads to money. Before I talk about this one part, there is a quote I remember writing was, and it came to me when you were talking about your roommate. It said, "Buy a Toyota now so you can buy a Porsche later."
Yeah.
And but yeah, the most important parts of that book, I'd say, are the mindset part, which is towards the beginning, and the wallet money part towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It does.
you can go ahead.
Yeah, don't go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You can be the smartest, fastest, strongest, richest person, but without the mindset, you hear of the lottery winners and the NBA and the NFL All-Stars who are worth tens of millions, and they blow it, and they screw themselves and their families, and they're worse than they ever would have been.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're homeless or if you're born into a multimillionaire family. That mindset is going to be more important than any other thing in your life. Primarily from perspective. Perspective got me a long way. Like, no matter how bad it gets, even if the market crashes and we lose everything, we have clothes and shirts and clothes and shoes and food, and we have a good system. It could always be worse, as I like to tell myself.
Yeah.
But then the mindset of struggle now, persevere now. Not that getting a Toyota is struggling, but the idea is especially people my age really struggle with this, is they want everything right now. They want all the best stuff right now. They want the BMW, they want the trip, they want all the going out to eat. And that's fine, but understand that you're sacrificing the opportunity cost of those things. My early 20s wasn't that luxurious, but I'm setting my, I have a lot of passive income now. And once you build that passive income, then you can get the jet skis and the trips and the 5-star restaurants and the Porsches. It's all about the mindset.
It is. You have to be, in my estimation, the people I've known in my life that have been very successful in terms of business all had developed the ability to be the master of delayed gratification. They were willing to put in the effort now and work hard for 3 years to buy them 10 years of peace and joy and travel and fun. So I got to ask you this. I know we're getting short on time here, but so you still have family up in the area? You have parents, brothers, sisters up close by?
Yeah. My family is primarily located in this area. There is one thing I want to mention. You reminded me. I did about the delayed gratification. There is a couple studies and research in the book that I cite, and one of them is the Stanford marshmallow experiment, of where they gave you could have one marshmallow now to a kid, or 2 in 15 minutes, and then they studied those kids over the course of years, and it turns out the delayed gratification kids did better in almost all facets. And the other big part of the book is about opportunity. Like, you can, again, like you said, be prepared. And I've been saying, don't, the market might be crap in the bed, but don't panic. Wait for the next opportunity. Position yourself to have the mindset and the focus to position yourself for the right opportunity. I got very lucky with my second multifamily. Is again, I was putting my nets out there to catch some fish. And it turns out, unfortunately for them, but somebody lost their job due to coronavirus. And then the real estate agent came to me and said, "Hey, I have this place. It's off the market. It's really cheap. Do you want it?" And I said, yes. And I was able to get that just because I was patient and ready. And again, I happened to land a nice opportunity.
Nice. So what are your folks think of this year? Or if you have brothers and sisters, any good conversations around a dinner table, or what's their philosophy or an opinion of what you're doing,
Yeah, so I grew up, I was always kind of like the jokester, funny guy. Nobody ever took me very seriously. And I still kind of keep that persona. But at the end of the day, and again, the family, likes to rib on each other. But at the end of the day, my brother and cousins and stuff, they do come to me and ask, like, "Hey, what should I do here? Or what should I do there? Or is this a good idea? Should I buy this? What's the real estate market like? Teach me what you know." And I even started a website and a business kind of doing the same thing, CameronDanalis.com, where it's almost like a strategizing, like life strategy, I like to call it, where I can advise people and use what I've learned to help others, because that's what I like to do.
Cool. Well, I tell you what, it's for people who be interested in speaking with you further, or maybe even getting your book. How do if you have a website, free chapter, free consultation, how can people get a hold of you and find what you've got to offer there?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. It's just Cameron Danalis, and like I said, my website is CameronDanalis.com. There's a little part you can send me an email, say hi, tell me you like the podcast, ask for help. You can send whatever you like. I read them all. Otherwise, the book is available on Amazon on paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. And if you open up the Amazon link and you click on the book picture itself, you can actually scroll down and read the first chapter, which I think is one of the better ones. So you can do that for free and kind of get a taste before you buy it.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty cool. And I appreciate you making that available to all the listeners. So if you could, everybody, please feel free to leave a review for Cameron's podcast interview. That's the currency of podcasts, is you leaving a review. That's what makes the world go around in the podcast world. So we appreciate that. And while you're out there, please remember to visit globalinvestoragent.com. And especially if you're an agent right now, this is the time to explore this and be prepared for this changing economy and changing real estate marketplace. So, in any case, appreciate you having on board, and then Cameron, we appreciate having you also. I know you're a busy guy and you're just getting started. It's wonderful to have you share your experience, because we have a lot of listeners who are also just starting out, and you're just a step ahead of them. And I tell you guys, if you're listening, I would take Cameron up on his offer and reach out to him. Go to the website, check out the book, and take your next step in getting you in production. So, okay, you guys take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families, and we will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.